There is a special kind of fear that doesn't sound like fear when you first describe it. It doesn't sound like I'm afraid of spiders or I'm afraid of flying. It sounds like this: I don't know how to live without them. I can't imagine the rest of my life if they're not in it. If they go, what am I supposed to do with myself? People hear those sentences and sometimes respond with reassurance. You'll be okay. You're stronger than you think. Time heals. They don't understand that you are not making a dramatic statement. You're describing a very real terror, the fear of living without them, not just the pain of losing them, the ongoing, daily, relentless task of existing in a world where they are not there. Christmas makes this fear clearer than at any other time, because Christmas stretches time out in your mind. It doesn't just ask you, what are you doing this week? It asks you, who do you spend the holidays with? Who's your family? Who's coming home? Who do you belong to? And when the person at the center of those questions is sick, fading, gone, or at risk of leaving, you are not just sad. You are terrified. Terrified of waking up into a January where they're not part of the plan. Terrified of the first Christmas without them. Terrified, more quietly, of the 5th and the 10th and the 20th Christmas without them, because you know, on some level, that if you keep living, the distance between you and the last time you saw them alive will only grow. That thought feels wrong. It feels like betrayal. It feels like walking away from them without wanting to. So your mind does what frightened minds do. It starts bargaining. I don't need anything big from life. Just let them stay. I can handle hardship, but not this. Not losing them. Take away my dreams, my plans, my comfort, but leave me this one person? Question mark. Underneath the bargaining is a deeper belief you rarely say out loud. I don't exist as a full person without them. Without them, who am I? This fear isn't irrational. It usually comes from something very real. Maybe they were the first person who ever made you feel safe. Maybe they were the only one who truly saw you. Maybe they held your history, your secrets, your softest and ugliest parts, and still stayed. Maybe they are woven into your routine so tightly that the idea of doing anything without them feels hollow. They were the voice you called after a good day, the person you collapsed into after a bad one, the steady presence in the corner of your life, the name you said automatically when you thought, I need to tell someone this. Now you face the possibility or the reality that this person could disappear from your future, and Christmas asks you, with its lights and its carols and its insistence on joy. And then what? You look at the tree and see every ornament they hung. You look at the table and see where they sat. You hear songs and remember exactly where they stood when those songs played in previous years. You don't just miss them in the present. Your mind tries to run the film forward. Birthdays without them, decisions without them, illnesses without them, holidays without them, ordinary Tuesday afternoons without them. The more your mind tries to imagine, the more it panics. I can't do this. I won't survive it. I will fall apart and never come back. Fear of living without them often hides inside other emotions. It disguises itself as anger, snapping at doctors, at family members, at anyone who suggests acceptance. It disguises itself as control, obsessing over medication, appointments, plans, logistics, as if organizing everything can keep them anchored. It disguises itself as denial. They'll be fine. We'll laugh about this in a few years. They're strong. They always bounce back. Underneath all of it is the same trembling sentence. I don't know how to be a person if they're not here. We are taught in quiet ways that we should be independent, that we shouldn't need anyone too much. But human beings don't work like that. We attach, we bond. Our nervous systems regulate in the presence of certain people. There are people whose existence tells your body, you're not alone, you're not abandoned, you are attached to something solid. The fear of living without them is, at its core, the fear of living with your nervous system unanchored, of being permanently loose with no one to dock into. At Christmas, when everyone else seems anchored, to partners, to families, to groups, you feel the beginnings of drift. What will it be like to be the one who arrives alone, who leaves alone, who has no one to exchange that particular look with across the room when something funny or painful happens? Sometimes the fear isn't just about emotional survival. It's also brutally practical. How will I manage the house, the bills, the paperwork, the children, my health without them? They were the organized one, the driver, the cook, the one who understood the finances, the one who reminded me to take my medication. I don't just love them, I function through them. Losing them feels like losing a limb and a heartbeat at once. People might try to reassure you with words about strength and resilience. You'll find a way. You'll surprise yourself. You're stronger than you think. You hear them, but your fear doesn't move. Because this is not just about strength. It's about identity. The life you built was not a solo project. They were a part of the structure. Remove them, and what you fear is not just sadness, but collapse. You might also have another hidden terror. If I keep living without them, does that mean I'm leaving them behind? Does that mean I'm saying it's okay that they're gone? So you imagine refusing to move forward as a form of loyalty. I won't let myself be okay, because being okay without them feels like a betrayal. At Christmas, that can show up in small ways. You won't enjoy certain things. You won't decorate the way you like. You won't allow yourself to laugh freely for more than a few seconds. Any sign of easing feels like disloyalty. So the fear of living without them becomes entangled with a fear of forgiving the universe, as if finding meaning or stability again would excuse what happened. It's important to say this plainly. You are not weak or dramatic for being afraid of life without them. Your fear is responding to a real change or a real possibility. It is trying to protect you, clumsily, from a world in which one of your core relationships disappears. But fear is terrible at telling the whole story. It shows you a future that is only empty, only lonely, only cold. It doesn't show you the parts of you that may slowly, painfully learn how to function differently. It doesn't show you the small, unexpected connections that may form later, not as replacements, but as lifelines. It doesn't show you that you are made of more threads than this one, even if right now, this thread feels like the entire fabric. Right now, hearing that might not comfort you at all. You might think, I don't want new connections. I don't want a different version of myself. I want them. That's honest. That's human. So instead of trying to convince you that life will be beautiful again someday, it might help to start smaller. What does living without them actually mean in concrete terms? It means waking up on mornings where your first thought is their absence. It means doing tasks they used to do. It means making decisions without asking them. It means carrying your grief into places where nobody knows your story. It means still eating, still showering, still paying bills, still answering messages, even while your chest feels like it's been hollowed out. These are brutal facts. They are not pretty. But here is another fact, sitting awkwardly next to them. Human beings do these impossible things all the time. Not because they want to, because they have no choice. They love deeply. They lose. They swear they cannot go on. And somehow they do, clumsily, angrily, tearfully, numbly, one day at a time, with no grand declarations. If you are afraid of living without them, you do not need to believe in some glorious, inspiring future version of yourself right now. You only need to believe in this, that you can survive one day, then another, not without pain, but without disappearing. Christmas is not asking you to be okay with their absence. It is simply arriving, like it does every year, indifferent and relentless. You are allowed to be terrified. You are allowed to say, I don't know how to do this. You are allowed to hate this holiday for making their absence louder. And still, when the day comes, you will breathe in and out. You will either get out of bed or stay under the blanket. You will either join others or stay alone. Whatever you do, the day will pass, minute by minute. That is not comfort, but it is reality. The fear of living without them tells you you will not survive even the idea. But But you have already survived something. The idea that they are not invincible, that they are mortal, that this threat is real. You are already holding that thought in your mind without exploding. If the worst has already happened, or if it does, survival won't feel like strength. It will feel like putting one foot in front of the other because your body keeps moving even when your heart says, stop. In time, slowly, against your will, almost in secret, your nervous system will start to shape itself around this new reality. You will learn how to make a certain meal alone. You will learn where the important documents are. You will learn how to handle a small crisis without calling them first. You will learn what to do with your evenings when they are not sitting beside you. Each of these tiny adjustments will hurt. Each will feel like another small betrayal. I shouldn't be good at this. I shouldn't know how to do this without them. But being able to do something without them is not proof that they didn't matter. It is proof that their influence on you was so strong that you can now move. Even when their hand is no longer on your back. They shaped you. You carry that shaping. If they were protective, part of that protection now lives in the way you care for yourself. If they were kind, part of that kindness now lives in how you speak to others. If they believed in you, part of that belief now lives in the small moments we'll keep going when you want to give up. You are not living without them in a clean, total way. You are living without their body, their voice, their current presence, but you are carrying their imprint everywhere. That doesn't erase your fear, but it changes its shape. You are not facing a future that is entirely empty of them. You are facing a future where your relationship to them has changed, from external to internal, from daily contact to daily memory. That is a painful, lesser version. It is not what you want, but it is something. On the nights when the fear is loudest, when you lie in the dark and think, I can't do a whole life like this. You don't have to do a whole life. You only have to do tonight. You might put a hand on your chest and say quietly, this terrifies me. I don't know how to live without you. But right now, I am just breathing. Right now, I am just getting through this hour. On Christmas Day, when everyone talks about next year, see you next Christmas. We'll do this again, same time next year. You might feel nauseous. You might think, how can you talk about next year like it's guaranteed? Don't you know how fragile everything is? You might want to scream, stop moving on. Don't leave me behind. You don't have to join them in their ease. You don't have to match their hope. You can simply say, inside yourself, I don't know what next year looks like, but I will try to get through this hour, this meal, this conversation, this walk to the sink and back. Your fear imagines an endless, unbearable stretching of years. Reality often asks for something smaller. This breath, this step, this day. You may never stop missing them. You may never stop wishing on some level that your life had stayed on the old track. But one day, quietly, almost unnoticeably, you may catch yourself doing something ordinary and realize that for a few minutes, you weren't actively thinking, how do I do this without them? You were just doing it. That moment may hurt. You might feel guilty, shocked, disloyal, or you might feel something else, a small, fragile respect for the part of you that has been walking forward, shaking and angry and heartbroken, but walking all the same. The fear of living without them says, I will be nothing when they are gone. The truth is harsher and kinder at once. You will not be nothing. You will be someone changed by losing them. More cautious, maybe. More tender, maybe. More tired, definitely. More aware of what matters, painfully so. You may never call this version of life better, but you may one day be able to call it yours. And when you sit in a room at Christmas, years from now, looking at a tree, at a table, at faces you love and faces you've lost, you may feel a familiar ache rise in your chest and whisper their name. You may still be afraid in waves. You may still wish they were there. But you will also be able to see something your current fear cannot imagine. That you did, in fact, live without them, while still loving them. Not by erasing them, not by replacing them, but by carrying them in the way you speak, the choices you make, the stories you tell, and the simple fact that despite everything, you are still here.